friends, welcome back everyone. Welcome back from that break. We just wrapped up with the Kwangdong Freaks versus DragonKy Gaming, and now we are diving in to our next lineup here, to our next matchup. It is Team Basilisk versus PSISTORM Gaming. And I just need to change the title. Beautiful, and we are getting ready for our first matchup. Ooh, oh my god. Okay, so it is going to be MaxPax versus Trigger in a PvP. I was not quite ready for this, but talking a little bit about PSISTORM Gaming, they're actually at the top of the group, or that actually near the top of the standings. They've been looking good, looking so strong here in this season with their new team. It isn't just MaxPax on his own, you know, trying to carry the team, but Spirit is a solid addition to PSISTORM Gaming, and Spirit alongside MaxPax have been able to perform very well, not just themselves, but also Gerald to support, and we're diving right into the game. Oh my god. Do you have for PSISTORM Gaming? MaxPax. Oh, he's excited. And in the bottom right hand corner for Team Basilisk, it is Trigger. Very little time. But we are diving right into this PvP, and this is going to be a rough one, I feel. Like, MaxPax, I feel like his speciality is PvP. So often he just throws down the gauntlet and says, come at me, challenge me if you will. And this is what I'm talking about. MaxPax, we casted him earlier today in ESL Open Cup Americas, and he did the same thing. In the PvP on Golden Aura, Gate Expand. It is not safe. It is typically deemed by the Protoss Council that it is not safe to go for Gate Expands on maps that don't have ramps. But MaxPax doesn't give a damn. He goes for economic openers regardless. Meanwhile, Trigger also going for what looks to be a Gate Expand as well, if I'm not mistaken. Never mind. It's 2 gate opening. Never mind. I saw the one gateway that wasn't a part of the wall, so part of me believed that maybe he would go economically as well, but alas he will not. So again, MaxPax is looking for a faster Nexus. Trigger goes 2 gate. Trigger could go for a 1-base all-in. The problem is that MaxPax, he wants you to all-in him. And we casted him earlier today. We saw Nina attempt to all-in MaxPax on this map on Golden Aura with, it was a 4-gate 1-base blink all-in against MaxPax, and MaxPax held beautifully with void rays, cannons, shield batteries, and there it is. The pylon is thrown down. Trigger is gonna attempt what many have and what few have succeeded, and that is to all in MaxPax. Best of luck. Best of luck, Bobby. Best of luck. As Trigger has 2 gateways back at home, he's got a 3rd gateway across the map to reinforce. We'll see if he only stays on 3 gates or if he doubles down even further. I'm surprised he didn't go for a proxy robo. Zealot is coming out to scout, and MaxPax so far has not. Oh no, he's checking! No! He's going to be checking behind the tall grass, behind the shrubbery, and he will get eyes on the proxy gateway. Back at home, MaxPax going for a Stargate before Nexus. Nexus is thrown down though, nonetheless. And this Stargate, depending on how committed Trigger wants to be, this Stargate can facilitate 4 defensive Void Rays. There it is, the pylon is going to go down. Trigger though, he's right next door here to throw down. There it is, another pylon to repower, and there's a 4th gateway, so it's going to be a 4-gate 1-base all-in at a Trigger. No blink. Just 4 gateways. Vanilla Stalkers coming out. And MaxPax is crazy. He's going for an Oracle first. Okay. So because the Oracle first, he's going to be looking to cripple the economy of Trigger. He's going to be zooming across the map. Now these gateways, they're still on the way, so it's going to take quite some time for them to really kick in. And MaxPax, he has time to actually set himself up. He has scouted the 2nd proxy gate. He knows. And there's the Void Ray. Void Ray now on the way. Again, Void Rays, they don't really have much of a place in PvP other than in the early game. In the early game, they are ideal defensively. They're ideal against these all-ins. I mean, that's all that you really have to work with, given a Stargate opener. Oracle comes in, but we have a shield battery. The Oracle will do nothing. We'll barely get 1 probe if that. And Trigger, he's looking to overwhelm. Again, MaxPax, essentially his first unit was a waste. Oh, as I say that, he gets 3 probes. It's something. Void Ray does come out, but MaxPax has to be very careful here with his control. Very delicate micro. Doesn't want to lose anything. He does pick off 1 Stalker. Oh, he almost gets a second. He will get a second. Oh, and a third even. Trigger bleeding out a lot of Stalkers. 3 Stalkers, 3 workers went down to the Oracle across the map. Not a good start for Trigger. So when you're going for a 4-gate all-in like this, you need to preserve your Stalkers. You need to preserve them and build up a mass amount to snowball and to one-shot that Void Ray, or two-shot the Void Ray even. But we're bleeding out too much. Trigger, he's losing so many Stalkers here. Massive stasis trap across the map. GG gets called, and MaxPax holds against the all-in. He takes game 1. And that's the power of MaxPax. GG. GG, well played. A solid defense there from MaxPax. A solid game from him. And this is just what he does. Like every single map, regardless of whether it's safe to do so or not, MaxPax, he will open up with a gate expand, and he baits you into all-inning him. And MaxPax, his 1-base defense, or his, I guess, technically 2-base against a 1-base all-in. His 1-base all-in defense is just so damn good. It's so well practiced, and it's so difficult to kill him. It's why a lot of players, they just accept their fate and they just open up economically, or they just play from behind. My favorite response is still Hero. I love Hero versus MaxPax, where Hero, he sees the greed from MaxPax and he like doubles down and he like tries to exceed the greed of MaxPax even instead. It's crazy. It's I think my favorite map so far, one of my favorite experiences, was casting Hero versus MaxPax on Royal Blood, where MaxPax went for a gate expand and Hero went for a gate expand, but he went for the goal base. He just at the same time, because it's a little bit larger, I'm curious if Trigger is going to attempt to go for an economic opener himself and go for a gate expand and try to keep up with the greed or the economy of MaxPax. I'm curious. Now, the scary thing about MaxPax is that if you do go gate expand against him, and if you are not on a map that is safe to do so, then MaxPax is the kind of player that's willing to turn the tables and all-in you. And because you're not anywhere near as good at defending against all-ins as MaxPax is, then like he can just kill you. It's crazy. As we're getting into this, and in the, I believe, top right, we have for PSISTORM Gaming MaxPax, and in the bottom left for Team BASILISK, Trigger, the Canadian Protoss player. And an interesting location for the first pylon. Immediately, the observer is pointing it out. So MaxPax is going for a gate expand. Trigger is not. Trigger is going for what looks to be a 2-gate opener variant with a very interesting location for his first pylon. Very interesting. So he's going to be creating basically SimCity, defensive SimCity back at home in his main base. For some reason, the music is a little lower than normal. I don't know what happened. So here we go. We know what MaxPax is up to. I'm really curious to see what Trigger is up to. If he does decide to go for an all-in or not. Again, there's that second gateway for Trigger as well. So it is a 2-gate opener. And MaxPax is looking to set up for his expansion and get a read on what is going on. Does send his probe across the map. Is going to be scouting. Likewise, Trigger is going to try and delay that expansion for as long as he can with that probe. Now, MaxPax did take a faster second gas, so he should go Stargate before Nexus. And that will lead into an Oracle again. As the MaxPax even has a safety zealot on the way just to make sure he does... Oh, of course. Just to make sure he doesn't get delayed. Meanwhile, there is that proxy gateway from a Trigger. Is he going to go for the 4-gate 1-base all-in once again? There's that Stargate. I mentioned before, because MaxPax took the earlier gases, it did show us that he was going to go for a Stargate before Nexus. So he's going to be going for a safer opener just like the previous game. Now, MaxPax, he has some scouting information, don't get me wrong. He has seen both gateways. He also sees that the second pylon is missing, which again is what the observer is pointing out. And now he's on the map looking for that second pylon, looking for where the proxy is. But now he has not found it. And there it is, second proxy gateway. So it is once again the same build from Trigger. And oh no! It does get seen, it does get spotted, and it is going to be a 1 base 4 gate all in. Once again, MaxPax is going Oracle first. I still think it's crazy. Very bold move, very greedy maneuver here. With this Oracle, he can cripple the economy of his opponent, just as we saw previously. Adept gets across the map. There's already a shield battery in position, but the energy is being wasted here from this Adept. There it is, Void Rays on the way. Additional Stalkers warping in across the map. We have a shield battery about to finish up. Second shield battery thrown down as well. And now MaxPax has seen everything he needs to. He has confirmed all of the gateways. Oh, he's going to come across the Stalkers. Oh, but they were on move command. The Stalkers did not attack the Oracle. And the Oracle was making its way into the main base, looking for potentially a stasis trap. Or, no, yeah, we're just going for the workers. We're just going for the probes. Workers are going down, but there's an abundance of Stalkers here. Where's the Void Ray? The Void Ray is just too little, too late. The shield batteries, one of them just now finishes up, but it's going to be focused down. MaxPax, he is in a lot of trouble. He's losing control of his natural. Yeah, it was just maybe a little bit too greedy. The Oracle across the map did kill some workers, don't get us wrong. Did kill 5 probes, but the natural base has been compromised, and now MaxPax, he falls back to his main. And this isn't looking too bad for Trigger, other than the fact that he did lose a lot of workers. He's down in the economy. Second Void Ray comes out. Is MaxPax going to try and save his natural, though? Can he try and save his natural? He's going to try to leapfrog forward here with the pylon, with the shield battery. Nexus is under threat. Adepts are looking to shade into that mineral line as well. And MaxPax, he has to respond to it. And probes will go down. 2, soon to be 3 workers falling. The Nexus falls as well. It's going to be 1 base versus 1 base. MaxPax still ahead in the workers slightly. But the Cyber Core goes down. And where do we go from here? Trigger has to make a choice. Does he push up the ramp and try to kill his opponent? Or does he expand back at home and go for a longer game? What does he go for? For now, he's patrolling. We're going to catch the Void Rays if at all possible. Speaking of, more Void Rays are on the way. We have our tech of choice. Twilight Council is thrown down. Pylon does get picked off. With that Twilight Council, we can head towards DTs. We can go for Blink. I imagine it's going to be Blink. Dark Templar would be unwise considering that we have a Stargate and an Oracle. I don't think Trigger knows about the Robo. Of course we do. But hopefully Trigger doesn't commit to DTs, as MaxPax is looking to regain control of his natural. Yeah, there's that revelation. And I think it did spot the Twilight Council. Oh god! Barely didn't. The tech has not been seen. He doesn't know. Not yet. And it is going to be Blink. Now, the downside to what Trigger is doing is that MaxPax is he's so ready for Stalkers. He has Void Rays and Immortals. Cybercore is about to finish up. He is lacking a gateway army, yes, but his army is still just so beefy, so solid. As MaxPax is even looking to chase down the army of his opponent, of Trigger. Oh! Stasis Trap does get thrown down. And a massive Stasis Trap will connect, taking down half of those Stalkers. And suddenly, MaxPax, he can take a fight. Good force fields. Trigger, he's in a lot of trouble. The full Void Rays, they push forward with that one Immortal as well. The goal here to depower this gateway, and he is going to. From here, MaxPax has to get the hell out of here. The stasis has run out, and the Stalkers, they do push on forward. They can they take down 1, 2 Void Rays. I think 2 or 1. But we have more Immortals on the way, and MaxPax, he force fields the ramp. Oof. 2 more Stalkers going down. Trigger, he's bleeding out so much, and he's down to 2 gateways. It was 1 Void Ray for 8 Stalkers. No shot. 8 Stalkers go down. And MaxPax, he's snowballing out of control. It's just too much damage. There's only 2 gateways to warp in. He recalls back home. No shield. Oh, there is 1 shield battery, thankfully. 1 overcharge. Has not enough energy for an overcharge. And the counter push here from MaxPax has gotten out of control. There's nothing to defend. Boys are being pulled. Trigger, he killed the natural base, but he was caught out on the map. GG gets called, and MaxPax will take the series 2-0. One-sided, you know, or this isn't just like, it shouldn't be like a complete steamroll. It's not like Gerald doesn't have a chance. He does have a chance. It's a small one, don't get me wrong. You know, Serral, he's a beast. He's the highest rated player in this team league. But upsets can happen. They can happen. They've happened before. They could happen again. As Gerald, oh my god. Gerald, he's had a haircut. Comes to his economy against Protoss, but we'll see how this turns out. In the top left-hand corner of Side Delta, we have Gerald for PSISTORM Gaming. And spawning in the bottom right for Basilisk, it is Serral. Here we go. But again, hopefully we can get into Spirit versus Reynor later on. Hopefully the players are going to be available, as we will save them for that final best of 2. For now, Serral going to be going for a 15 hatch. Does manage to get it on location. Very nicely done. Those wondering, a 15 hatch is designed to get the hatchery before the probe arrives, before Gerald can delay that expansion and force the unnatural natural. So this is going to be a 15-15 opener here from Serral. I'm curious as to how much he's going to delay his gases though. There are variations of this which delays gases quite a lot and leads into a roach push, or we may just rush into it a little bit earlier and go into double gases to catch up. But for now, again, quote-unquote standard opener, just very safe opener even from Gerald. The added advantage of this is that because of your base layout here, you are able to defend against something like Oracles and even Glaive Adepts a lot easier on these 2 bases. Just because of mainly the creep spread here, you're able to take advantage of the natural and wall off if it were to be Glaives. And likewise Queen movement as well. Meanwhile, there is that gas being taken, so we're not delaying it by too much longer. Not a massive delay on said gas, as we will be getting into it. Getting into our game. And again, really my eyes are going to be on Gerald here. You know, everyone knows that coming into this Serral, he is the favorite player. He's the favorite player against almost anyone out there. You do have to be one of the best to really contest against him. So my eyes are on Gerald to see how he has prepared for this series, for this best of 2. And already, Twilight Council opener. Bold move. Already Serral has a better defense against this than he otherwise would have if he was forced to take the unnatural natural. So Gerald, he sees that 15 hatch opener and he doubles down anyway. He goes to the Twilight Council. He's gonna commit. So the aggression is upon us. Now this could be Glaive Adepts, this could be a DT opener as well. I'm curious to see the gases in the main base to determine which one it would be. As additional gateways are thrown down, the wall is upon us. And we'll soon determine what kind of direction Gerald wants to take us in. As we have not pulled out of gas. Okay, interesting. We haven't pulled out of gas. Robo now is thrown down alongside an initial gateway. Is this going to be Glaives? I'm sorry, is this going to be DTs? So because we haven't pulled out of gas, this is going to be a little bit more committed and tech heavy. Even if we go for Glaives, it could be Glaives alongside Dark Templar, or we could go up to 6 gateways. There it is. DTs are on the way. There's one of the way that you can determine it is that if the Protoss player does pull out of gas, then it is going to be 4-gate Glaive Adepts because you don't actually need that much gas to facilitate for that production. If we stay in, then it's going to be something a little bit more complex and more gas heavy, and in this case it is going to be those or a Dark Shrine opener. Okay, so not too aggressive, basically. Of course, DTs, they have potential to deal a lot of damage, and Gerald, he wants to try to hide this and mask it as Glaive Adepts, as Adepts are on the way. And if the DTs don't do anything, if there is detection back at home, then we can always morph them into Archons and try to hunt down Overlords, and even trade with the Queens and trade with drones. So again, it's a very flexible opener. Meanwhile, we can see Serral going for a safety Roach Warren. This was around a 4-minute Roach Warren timing. He's going to be cutting workers here at 43. He's making spores, one at his natural, the other, I believe, at his third in his natural, just to make sure he's able to keep up with any invisible men. And yeah, Serral here just has a solid setup here to defend against almost anything. Now, we could potentially get DTs in the main base if we do slip into said main. That is going to be an option available here for Gerald. There it is, the Dark Templar are being morphed in. Oh, we do have a Spore on the way in the main base as well. At the same time, Serral goes for a big lane counterattack, getting a surround on that Nexus. Oh, and he's going to be looking for a cancel. Meanwhile, the DTs, they go straight for the Queen. One Queen will fall. One Queen, 3 workers, but we're going to force a cancel in the third base, and this is well worth it. Oh, God! Well, okay. So Serral, calm down. This is going to be well worth it here for Serral. Not worth it at all for Gerald, as he committed hard here to this opener, and he is contained to 2 bases. Behind this, 4 more gates on the way. I believe that's going to be 8 gates in total with charge. It's going to be an 8-gate charge all in. At least that's what it looks like. But this just has been a rough start for Gerald already. I just noticed the volume. But it has been a rough start for Gerald, and Serral, he's back once again with more lings. Once you cancel it once, it becomes that much easier to try to punish his base. Thankfully, there are many more Dark Templars, so Gerald, he will hold on to his third. More Archons on the way. Gerald will maintain his expansion. But Serral, he's free to drone, saturate his bases. He's already at 3-base saturation. Roach is now on the way. And the pressure is on Gerald to get some damage across the map with his Prism. I say damage across the map. Gerald hasn't been making any workers. I mentioned before that there were 8 gates and that this looks like a 2-base 8-gate charge all-in. And this third basically from Gerald is a fake. There's no workers. No workers are in production. It's all or nothing here for Gerald. He's hoping to catch Serral droning. And Serral was droning, don't get me wrong, but Roach is now on the way. Does Serral have enough to defend against this all-in? Here we go. We still need another warp in of Zealots. The Prism moving on forward as well. The Immortals, they have arrived. We get a massive warp in into the natural base. The Spore going ham on that Prism, and the Prism, it is barely going to escape, but it's zoned away from the Archons, zoned away from the Immortals. The Zealots, they do get into the natural. But we are bleeding out high-tech units. We lose two Archons. And 2 Archons did go down, and we just haven't done enough damage. We have to keep on going. But we just barely don't have enough. Again, because the Prism took so much damage, the Prism actually can't push forward and juggle these Immortals. Otherwise, we should have been able to save those Archons as well. Yeah, and Serral, he's just overwhelming this army, snowballing out of control. He takes down the Archons, takes down the Immortals, and there is nothing left. Back at home, Gerald, he's trying to start saturation on that third base, but it's too little too late. Serral, he's going for a massive counterattack, and there is no way to hold on to that third. Maybe not even the natural either. As Serral does pull back, again, there's honestly, there's nothing to protect that third base. We don't have to turn around, Poppy. We don't have to. Serral is just being safe and secure. He backs off. He's going to be droning up. He's giving Gerald an opportunity to come back in this game. But I mean, he's still double the supply. Like, it's still one of those moments where Gerald, he still has so much to overcome. We have a Changeling Scout at the third. Again, there's no shield batteries, no cannons, there's no overcharge at the third base. Like, it's so vulnerable. Disruptors are on the way. Okay, so Gerald, he's down 70 supply, but with like 3 good Novas, maybe. If we get the juiciest Purification Novas, we can maybe have a chance at surviving a little bit longer. As the rocks are getting knocked down, and Serral, he's just maxing out. Serral, he's just re-maxing. He's secure on 77 workers, and even though he could have maybe killed his opponent earlier, he's just going for a secure win, just making sure he doesn't slip up. making sure he does not make any mistakes here. The reality is that there's a world where if he did attack and if he was somehow deflected, then Gerald would have a stronger claim here to this game. But Serral is now 200 supply. And now is the time to move out. Now there's nothing holding Serral back. He cleans up all the rooks. Disruptors have arrived. We spoke about it before. We need the juiciest Novas. We'll see if we can get them. As we have 2 disruptors with the main army of Gerald. Behind this, Serral, he's on 4 base saturation. He can work towards a 5th. Speaking of Gerald, he throws down a 4th of his own. First Nova does go off. We have 2 more left in the chamber. We do shave off 1 Roach. Another Nova goes off it. We get 2 more Ravagers as well. Not bad. These aren't bad connections. It's just we need so much more. That's just how far behind we are. The Roach Ravager breaks on in. Geralt is even supply blocked. Losing a pylon. And Serral will rotate around. Now, this disruptor count is getting higher. It's slowly getting higher and higher. Is there, I mean, is there a world? Kind of. Still unlikely, but possible. 4th base is on the way. Serral, he hasn't seen it yet, but he is sending a wave of links over to Scout, and he will deny the 4th. Containing Geralt to 3 bases. Novas will go off, and decent connections once again. They do zone Serral away. But yeah, we do force a cancel. And the reality is that, again, Serral, all he has to really do is just contain Geralt to 3 bases. Serral, he's working on a Hive. Hive grants access to Vipers. Vipers are a secure way to just shut down disruptors in general. So we do have a DT counterattack towards the south. Oh, that's a lot of... We may not need the Vipers, though, because we have 83 Banelings! 83 Banelings in production! Oh my god. That's a lot of Banelings, Papi. 83. And with that, we should be able to break the 3rd base, rush on into the mineral line as well. Like, this is enough to overwhelm a ground army. Serral, though, still taking it slow. Rotating around, getting eyes on the new 4th base, which should not get up and running. Main armies are pushing out. Banelings have been seen. Up! And they do crash in. They take down the disruptors already. 2 of them go down. Oh my god, they even take down the Immortal. And the Banelings at this point, they don't know what to connect with. They go straight for... They should be going straight for the mineral lines. And GG gets called. Geralt, he knows that he cannot keep the game, or if he tries to end the game earlier instead. We have seen a lot of Nidus play. We have seen a lot of Dropper Lords on Radizet Station to try to pull apart the Protoss. I recommend checking out the VOD if you're interested. But here we go. We're getting into game number 2, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have for PSISTORM Gaming, Gerald. And in the top right, we have Serral for Team Basilisk. Here we go. As you can see, PSISTORM, they do have a lead in this series thanks to MaxPax. We'll see if the rest of the PSISTORM team can keep up. As Geralt, his map of choice is going to be Radizet Station. Looks like the observer is pointing out some of the features of this map, and of course, the biggest feature here is the pocket base. Not just the pocket base, but also the 4th base location. It is easy to establish yourselves on 4 bases, and we saw that earlier today. We saw that in Stats' series, when Stats did play against Oliveira in a PvT in Quangdong Freaks versus DragonKy Z Gaming, where Stats was able to actually get up to a 4 base, get up to a 5 base economy as well, and get into Skytoss and overwhelm Oliveira's army. That is what that is what Stats was able to accomplish. So it's even applicable to some of these other matchups. Again, Geralt is going to be looking to do something similar. He's going to be looking to do something very similar to Stats, where we want to turtle up, take 4 bases, and slow the game down. Get into Skytoss, Bobby, Skytoss. That's what I assume coming into this, but we'll see. You know, we'll keep our eye on Geralt, and he may have some other plans in store for us. as Serral is going to be going hatch gas pool. Standard opener so far out of our Zerg player. As to be expected. We haven't quite seen anyone try to go for a pool first or rush into roaches on a map like this. Seems a little bit unwise, especially based on the rush distance by ground. But for now, the openers seem to be normal and standard. Again, a lot of the game here comes down to how greedy our players want to be. We've seen a lot of really fast third bases from the Protoss, as we've even seen players even now start to mine out those patches. Gerald, he hasn't gone for that yet. He's still focusing on his natural base. And our tech of choice is going to be a Stargate. Okay, so we're not going to do anything crazy with the Twilight Council. We did see a Twilight Council opener in game 1, but now that we're on Radisset Station, Stargate makes a lot more sense. This should be for Oracles. And again, we can even cut Oracles. Remember that typically in a PvZ, you go up to 3 Oracles. So you can harass, and you can also have an Oracle to defend back at home. You can get away with cutting Oracles even, and get away with a faster third base if you start working through those mineral patches. So again, there are these corners that you can cut in PvZ thanks to the map itself. Meanwhile, Serral going for a very fast Overlord speed. Okay. I'm intrigued. I'm curious. Is this just for scouting? Part of me wants to say drop. Oh. Who is it? No! TQL. Not like this. As it looks like we have some technical issues, and I'll hold that thought about Overlord speed. We'll get back to it. We'll get back to it. As TQL, I believe, is one of the observers. He's one of the WTL observers that they do have in game. They have multiple observers, by the way, which is why every now and then they have picture-in-picture, because they have 2 observers kind of working the cameras to just cover as much ground and cover multiple fights if they do occur. But it looks like one of them is having some latency issues, so we may end up losing an observer. But we have 2 observers in game, but it's okay. It's all good. We'll still have someone to man the camera. Should be all good. But yeah, we're just gonna have to wait out that timer before we get back into that game. Meanwhile, we can see the current scores and the current lineups. Some people were asking about it earlier, but again, MaxPax did 2-0 trigger, and Spirit and Reynor has been delayed here. We're getting into Gerald versus Serral first, giving them time to prepare, and here we go. We dive back in as TQL did leave. Okay, oh my god. So a lot's happening. So we have a Void Ray first from Gerald, it seems, as the Void Ray is on the way. Meanwhile, I was speculating about this Overlord speed. Now, this could lead into Dropperlords later on, but Dropperlords do require layers. So, if I'm not mistaken. So because of that, yeah, we're just going for a scout. Okay, so Serral, he's just a little bit paranoid. He wants to be safe and secure. He goes in and he does confirm that the third base is being worked on. This also means that once the Void Ray pops out, the Overlord should be able to escape the clutches of said Void Ray and make it back home. As the Overlord actually sneaks in behind the bases. And that is the second Stargate. Yeah, of course. Yep. Sky Toss is on the way. And again, Serral, he gets a full scout. He dives into the main base. He sees the first Stargate. And the second gets cancelled. I'm not seeing things, right? It was on the way, right? Yeah? Am I crazy? Oracle in production. Void. There it is. Oh, we canceled the Stargate to hide it. The Overlord goes down and we rebuild the Stargate instead. Oh, Gerald. He's crazy. I love it. So we canceled, rebuilds, and there's a third Stargate now on the way as well. First Sky Toss. Third base is being taken. We have another Overlord coming in for a scout, but a Void Ray is in position, and the Overlord is going to be denied. Serral once again sending out another Overlord towards the south. He really wants to get a read on what exactly is happening. We have Phoenixes on the way. No Fleet Beacon, by the way. There is no Fleet Beacon, so we're not rushing into Carriers, we're not rushing into Tempest. We are going mass Phoenix. +1 air attack has begun. Again, Serral is still in the dark as to what is going on. Oh. Is it just going to be droning? Stasis Trap goes off and no reaction! No! Big Stasis Trap here in the natural base. Serral, his attention was elsewhere, and he's going to be losing so many workers and 2 queens as well in said stasis. And Gerald, he's not done. We have 2 Adepts looking to shade on in, looking to get some economic damage done. Once again, late reaction. The Lings, they do pull back. 2, 3 drones go down. Serral, he is bleeding here. He is hurting in the economy. Another stasis trap coming in as well. Gerald setting quite a tempo, quite a pace. But this time, Serral, he does react. He does pull back. Meanwhile, the Phoenixes are banking up here in the corner of the map. I believe this Overlord hasn't gone in for a secondary scout, so Serral is actually not fully aware of what's happening. But a Spire is on the way. He's continuing Queen production. The Spire won't help too much, though, against the amount of Phoenixes that are about to reveal themselves. As the Adepts will be surrounded, and the Phoenixes are on the way towards that natural. Now, there are a lot of Queens in position. We're going to be rotating around instead, towards the would-be 5th base even. There are Queens. And what exactly do we want to be going for? Queens, drones, even Overlords. We go for the Overlords even. We find a lot of them. 2 of them will go down. Not enough engine for transfuse. And this will supply block Serral. He goes in for another scout. He confirms the mass Phoenix is a bit... Oh, God! Bit of an oversight. 1 Phoenix does go down, as the army is left idle. But 1 Phoenix for 2 Overlords, it's okay. Could be worse. And behind this, Gerald, he's going to charge +1. And Archons, he's not going Sky Toss. He's setting up for Charge Archon, a ground army instead. Okay, so Gerald, he's not going for a greedy playstyle. He's not going for a totally macro playstyle. Instead, this is very active. He's hoping that Serral overcommits to Corruptors. The Spire just finished. He has Carapace on the way, and Corruptors are beginning. If he makes too many Corruptors, then the charge lots will overwhelm the ground. Here we go. Overlord's getting picked off. Drones as well. Only 1 Overlord going down. Serral's still quite a ways away from being supply blocked. As it feels like these pieces have been a big investment and we need to get more done with them. So we will catch another worker. Stasis trap goes off once again. No! Once again, a massive stasis trap here in the natural. Phoenix is a force back. Corruptors have not been scouted. As Serral is going for a Corruptor Roach-based composition. A lot of Queens as well. We could even try to waddle across the map. It would make sense. The Queens are there to transfuse to support said Corruptors. Storm on the way for Gerald. He's committing to a flyby here. He's going to be losing a lot of Phoenixes. Not too sure if that was quite worth it for Gerald. Oh, there it is. Three Phoenixes for 6 workers. As we do recall back home. And how much anti-air do we have? We do not have Blink. No shield battery. No shield battery, no overcharge. The Corruptors, they reign supreme. They take down another Phoenix and they head straight for the main base. They go straight for the tech. They can deny Storm. Oh. They can and will deny Storm. Again, Geralt, he warps in a couple of Stalkers, but it's not going to be enough. The Templar Archives does go down. We do have a couple of Archons, thankfully, to defend. But this really throws a wrench in the works here for Geralt's plan. He wanted to go charge the Archon, he wanted to reinforce with Storm, and all that's been denied. And here we go, Serral is about to max out. He's pushing out across the map, and what is there to defend? Fleet Beacon gets thrown down, but this is too late. This feels, this feels like a desperation Hail Mary play here from Geralt to get into Sky Toss. Roaches are pushing in. No Immortals, no Disruptors, no Sky Toss. We can kite away against these Zealots. And we are bleeding out a lot of Roaches, to be fair. A lot of Roaches are falling. The Corruptors, they take down another Nexus. We have +1 air attack on the way. Even if we did get into carriers, like, we already have Corruptors to deal with them. We're already working towards, you know, Skyzerg. Blink now on the way as well. Serral setting up some Dropper Lords, getting ready for a Doom drop into the natural. Sorry, into the pocket base. We're going to make use of all these Roaches, as Serral has remaxed. And in a head-to-head fight, I do think that Gerald has a chance to win a fight, to take it to all these roaches, but Gerald has no map vision. He has no map control. He has control of the Xel'Naga towards the north, but not towards the south. And now here come the Dropper Lords. Right into that third. Now, I believe we have enough energy for a recall. Oh, yeah, there it is. We do force the recall. We are racing back home. The High Templar are exposed. Good storms. Decent storms on those roaches. The fleet beacon has been scouted. Tempests are on the way. And Serral knows. Serral does know as the roaches are being cleaned up. They head in towards the main base. They see the Stargates to see what's coming out of them as well. We already have the corruptors we need. Now, this was expensive, to be fair. This was an expensive drop from Serral. He actually only gets 3 workers, and he doesn't trade too well with the army either, so not too worth it for Serral. Not the best drop you could have hoped for. But the corruptors, they come back in, they caustic spray down at that building, and it looks like they should get the Nexus. The Observer really wanted to watch those roaches, but but they should get, and they will get the Nexus as well. Gerald's down to 3 bases. He's getting his 5th up and running, so down to 4 bases. Tempests have arrived. As we get into Tempest, Serral is just getting into the rest of his late game. We have the Ultra Cavern on the way. Greater Spire, 2nd Spire for upgrades for 2-2. Neural Parasite for the Infestors. Just everything you could hope for. It's going to take a while to really refine the army though. Like, Serral is still heavily reliant on a lot of roaches, and oh my god, Blink is done by the way. Gerald, he can go into that pocket base. Can, and he will. He does blink over the wall. He's going for the base itself, and it looks like he will get a kill on this hatchery. At the same time, Serral setting up a massive concave. He's going in. He's collapsing on the army, and there's no way out. There's no way out of this. Good storms, though. But the Tempest will fall, and we are forced to recall out. We barely save anything. 2 Archons make it out. Ay. Gerald, he got a base, but he loses his entire army. Yeah, the recall was just too late. And Serral is still looking strong. Takes out another Nexus. We want to caustic spray down another Nexus as well, because why not? We'll settle for some gateways. Forcing another warp in. And Gerald just needs time right now to remax, to rebuild. I'm not too sure how I feel about these Tempests. I'll be honest, I kind of want Void Race first. I feel like we need a secure answer for all these Corruptors, and we just don't really have one. I guess he's hoping he can zone them away with the Archons. I guess that's the hope for Gerald. As we're setting up another massive Doom drop into that 3rd base once again. Oh my god. We are going right for it. And we just recalled earlier. I don't think we have another recall available. And we go straight for the mineral line, straight for the shield battery as well. Geralt out of position. He's maxed out so he couldn't warp in defensively, and the Nexus will fall. The Corruptors even coming in to pick up a couple more of these Phoenixes. The Tempests have been revealed, so now we know to make more Corruptors. At the same time, Serral's trying to go for a bit of a backstab as well. His force back. Oh, as more storms are thrown down. Thankfully, Gerald does have detection, so he cleans up the burrowed roaches. But he needs detection here as well. As Serral is throwing away quite a lot, actually. Throws away a lot of his Roach Ravager, but as he loses Roach Ravager, he's replacing them with Ultras. Ultra Corruptor. Do we have any Spellcasters? I'm not too certain we do. I know that we were working on Infestor upgrades, but yeah, when it comes to Serral's army, I do feel like it's lacking a little bit. We have quite a lot of upgrades, don't get me wrong. But we have been throwing a lot away here for these counterattacks, and because of that, Serral actually doesn't have the largest bank. How about the Corruptors? They come back. The Corruptors are back. Meanwhile, with our high Tempest count, we're now getting to carriers. Gerald, he's going full Sky Toss. He's working on it. So he does lose more gateways. Mothership is on the way. Minus 300, minus 300. Actually, to be fair though, actually provides quite a lot of utility to the army. Not as much of a meme as it once was. Feels good, man. The Ultras, they have arrived. The goal here is for the Ultras to collapse on the High Templar and the Archons to clean up the ground army and allow for the Corruptors to wreak havoc in the air. Of course, it's all going to come down to the engagement. The Archons have been spotted. Sorry, the Ultras have been spotted. And this marauding Ultra army as well is seen here towards the south. A lot of Stalkers going down. And at this point, because of how many Ultras there are, we should be transitioning into more Immortals. And there it is, a second Robo gets thrown down. We only have one, so we're only making one Immortal at a time. And the Ultras are dropped into the pocket base. How often do you see Ultras in Dropper Lords? That's not something you see too often at all. As the Ultras will be cleaned up, the carriers are recalled. At the same time, though, towards the north, we have the army collapsing on the Tempest. And the Tempests are looking so exposed. Two of them go down. And the Ultras, they just go straight for the base itself. Other Banes are rolling in. Banes, they do roll on forward. They take down some of the sack defense. Gerald, he does hold the line. Mothership has arrived. Now, Gerald, he did bleed out a lot of Tempest, and he just lost an entire mineral line as well, but he holds. He holds. He has a bank to work with. He does need another expansion. As, oh my god, we're making 3 Immortals at a time. That is more than enough to deal with these Ultras. Behind this, Infestors are on the way. To Fungal, to Neural. Now, as we bleed out some of these Ultras, because we're forcing out Immortals, that's when Serral is going to transition into Broodlords. Like, that's kind of the ebb and flow here of ZVP. Depending on the composition of Gerald, Serral will be adjusting. Immortals are on the way. They may even get caught out. No! The Immortals! It's off camera, but they're getting caught out. Here we go, the Corruptors, they dive on top of the army. Big storm though, but it may not be enough. There is detection available, and the Tempests are going down one after the other. We're running out of Corruptors though. Mothership does fall, but we get every single Corruptor. They all do fall, and Serral remaxes. Oh my god, 20 Corruptors on the way. My god, 21. And the Ultra got into the mineral line. 30 probes went down. That one Ultra has 31 kills on its own. Oh my god. That's the one Ultra that killed all those probes. And as we go to a counterattack, Serral, he just has to wait a little bit longer here for his reinforcements. His gold base is under threat, but we have plenty of Corruptors. And Gerald has to evacuate. He has to go back home. And what is he going home to? He just cannot expand. Doesn't have an economy. Barely has anything left. It was a good effort. You know, he was able to hold on for quite some time, but he was spread thin. And I did mention before that what we have seen a lot of from Zerg is what we're seeing from Serral here as well. If we're forced to play on Rattazet Station, you do have to rely a lot on either Nidus Worms or Dropper Lords. So pull apart your opponent to force recalls to get economic damage done. We dive on the carriers, everything's going to fall, everything's going to get completely swallowed up, and Serral, he just cleans up the army. Almost nothing is left. There's one Immortal and a handful of Stalkers. Getting the final Ultra. And 9 more Ultras are in production. Oh. Again, Serral, his economy has been untouched for quite some time. in the early game, again, shout out to Gerald. He was doing well for himself, right? He was able to hide his Mass Phoenix. He was able to get a lot of stasis traps going off. He was able to deal economic damage as well. But as he was being spread thin, as the game went on, it did feel like he was just being pulled apart. It was also a late transition to Skytoss. I mean, again, not necessarily his fault that the Corruptors were able to bust into his main base and Caustic spray down at that storm before it was able to finish, forcing Gerald to be a little bit more defensive. And now here, Gerald, he's just trying to hold on desperately. Again, he's down to one carrier, a handful of High Templar. He's got storms, sure, but really we're just waiting for the Ultras. And here we go, the Ultras, they have arrived. They're going straight for the Nexus, straight for the base. And Gerald, he just cannot keep up with this. He cannot engage. He knows it. He's zoned into the top left-hand corner of the map. And he will have one final fight, one final stand. The Storms, they tickle the Ultras, papi. The Ultras, they don't care. They just run past all of them. Getting on top of the Immortals, and it looks like that is going to be all she wrote. GG gets called. Well played, and Serral will take the series 2-0. Oh, fighting back for Team Basilisk. GG. GG, well played. With that, we are tied up 2-2. PSISTORM with 2 points, Basilisk with 2 points, and it all comes down to Spirit versus Reynor. And again, when it comes to that last series, Gerald, he didn't do too poorly for himself. I do think that, I mean, hey, he was able to get to the late game against Serral, right? How many players can say that they've done that? Of course, the map helps. Radisson Station is very defendable, and it does allow you to establish a 4 and even 5 bases with the help of the map itself. But once again, I love how Serral approached that map. I mentioned before, we've seen a lot of Nidus play. From Serral, we saw a lot of Drop-a-Lord play, whether they were Roach drops or Link drops or a combination of the two, constantly just trying to pull apart Geralt and find some damage. Not just that, but Serral, he was also very active with his Corruptors, and he would go in, snipe tech, snipe bases as well. Just a very active style here, not allowing Spirit to max out, not allowing him to settle down and really fortify himself. That was also a little bit on, I said Spirit, that was also a little bit on Geralt. The fact that I do think that he was lacking in stack defense. We have seen a lot of Protoss players like Hero and Classic, when they're on Radisson Station, they do actually invest quite a lot in cannons and shield batteries, specifically in that pocket base, just because it can be very abusable. Whether it's with, you know, Mutas, Corruptors, Nidus, or Drop-a-Lords, it can be quite abusable, and we have seen a lot of players react to that and adapt to that and commit quite a lot there when it comes to stack defense. It's something that Geralt was lacking until the end of the game. If you remember, it was towards the end where he finally threw down cannons to deter any Corruptors, but it took a while for that to happen. Did take a while, and again, he was pulled apart. But I'm sure, again, as these maps get figured out a little bit more, you know, we will see our players adapt as a result as well. And it all now comes down to this final best of 2. And the players, we have them. I was concerned that maybe we wouldn't. I was concerned that we already had a walkover earlier, and it would be a shame to have 2 in one day. But here it is, Spirit versus Reynor. A rematch. Let's go. Let us go. A ZVT that I have been waiting for all week. And Spirit is here. Reynor looks like, unfortunately, without cams, but it's all good. Regardless, he is still present. Is he hungover again? I hope not. Shaking my head, shaking my head. For those, for context to what I just said, it was 2 weeks ago in Korea versus the World, where Reynor was slotted. He was slated to represent the world and be a part of the team, and then it came out that he had gone out with Rotterdam drinking the night before, and Reynor was hungover, and as a result, he didn't compete in Korea versus the World, and he was replaced by Estrella. And we were like shaking my head, like, Roddy, what are you doing? You have to take care of your boy, Poppy. Take care of him. As we're getting into this, and sporting in the top left, we have Spirit. In the top right, we have a Team Basilisk, Reynor. Let us go. Spirit, of course, representing PSISTORM Gaming. That's peak rate. It is. Like, it's very on brand. Like, as much as I want to, like, scold Reynor, it's like, I mean, that's who he is. That's like, what can I do? I can't just be more like Serral, Poppy. It's like, if he was, then he wouldn't be Reynor, you know? Like, that's why we love him. That's why we love him. As we are getting into game number 1 here of this best of 2 to determine which team is able to take this series. Again, we are tied up 2-2. It all comes down to these 2 players. And Spirit is going to be going for a CC first. Very on brand. Spirit, he's known for his greed. He's known for cutting corners here, specifically in this matchup. I mean, in every matchup, to be honest. But especially here against Zerg, he's very fond of CC firsts. Something that is a lot more unheard of amongst some of the other pro players. And with that, he is going to be able to take a more economic lead, a slight economic lead here in the early game, more so than normal, as Reynor is going for a hatch gas pool. And yeah, from here we are getting into our game. Again, Spirit, he's a player that we have had our eyes on, and we've been I've become a big Spirit fan over the course of the last 12 months. It's been really cool to see Spirit rise through the ranks over in Europe, and he's been getting better and better results, whether it's in Gamers 8 or ESL Masters Summer as well. Spirit, at a certain point a couple of years ago, be out there, Spirit, there was a bit of a gap. You know, he was always one of the best Terrans in Europe, don't get me wrong, but it did feel like there was always a bit of a gap between himself and Clem and Hero Marine and all the other top players in Europe. But it feels like Spirit, he has been closing the gap over this past year, and that has reflected in his results and his performances in these big major events. Yeah, it's been really cool to see him just improve so much in what feels like a short period of time. Like, again, I want to reiterate that he's always been a good player, don't get me wrong, but again, in this last year of play, he's just been looking that much stronger. And an example of that is beating Reynor, for example, in ESL Masters Summer. Beating Hero Marine, Big Gabe, multiple times. I think he beat him in ESL Masters Summer. I think he beat him, was it in Home Story Cup or Gamers 8 again? Yeah, like, Spirit, he's just been damn good this year. But we'll see if he can bring that to the table here in WTL, as he's going for a 3rd CC before Starport. So again, very economic opener out of Spirit, what we expect to be seeing, setting up for a longer macro game. Likewise, Reynor, he's just going for a hatch gas pool, saturating his natural, working towards his 3rd. Very standard openers from both players. You can see here that we haven't stayed in gas, we're not rushing into a lair, we're not rushing into roaches. This overload from Reynor hasn't gone in yet, so he's still in the dark as to what is going on. But there isn't much to see, you know, he just will eventually dip in just to get confirmation that Spirit isn't being overly aggressive. Now, what's important is that Spirit, he has the capacity to be aggressive. Like, we have had the luxury of casting Spirit. It was a couple of months ago, Spirit versus a laser, where Spirit, he was going for, like, you know, 2-port BC and, like, proxies and, like, all these, like, crazy builds. And he looked dominant, to be honest. Like, he had his way with a laser. But that isn't typically how... I think that was more for show because it was a regional tournament. It was like a Polish tournament that we were casting, and they were at a gamer bar and all that stuff. But I do think that Spirit, he does typically go for like these more standard approaches to the game. Safe, standard, macro. Impressive nonetheless. As the Overlord is going to be dipping into the main base, getting an eye on the opener, confirming the 3rd CC. It's going to be 3cc Banshee, very standard stuff here. We are committing to Cloak though. The Cloak is a little bit out of left field. It is at least confirmed by Reynor, so he's going to be able to react to it. We have the lair now starting up. The lair should eventually lead into a Bailey nest. So interesting, actually. Even though Reynor scouted the 3rd CC, he's going for a very safe build. What I mean by that, usually when you see a 3cc opener, you throw down 2 Evo chambers to go for upgrades to catch up when it comes to the greed of your opponent, and you delay your lair and you delay your Bailey nest. But Reynor, again, playing very safe, going for a faster lair. This should lead into a faster Bailey nest, into Bailing speed. There it is, there's that Bailey nest on the way, and he's delaying his upgrades. So just very safe play here from Reynor. Respecting Spirit quite a bit. Spores are finishing up, getting fully saturated. Nothing too wild. He does have eyes on the 3rd CC that is yet to be taken. It's going to delay it for a couple of seconds. And he also gets eyes on the Banshees as they move out. And now we can talk about the map a little bit. We are on Equilibrium, of course, and as we can see, Reynor, his 4th base is a gold. This is another big feature of the map, is the gold base location. Because of where it is, you can actually take it as a not just as a Zerg player, as any player really. You can take it as a 3rd or 4th base pretty freely. Like, at this stage of the game, it's going to be really difficult to punish it too hard. Rushing into it, yes. Like, if you try to take that base as your natural, then sure, like, you're going to fight for control of that area. But naturally, as the game progresses, especially if you expand towards the south, you can take advantage of that gold base, and that is going to give a big boost here to Reynor. Oh, as I say that, 6 drones go down to the Banshees, so he's going to need that gold to recover and recoup these losses. That is already a lot of damage done. Both Banshees survive, so they're going to be able to get even more damage. And Spirit is hitting the field with the rest of his forces, looking to deny some creep and maybe even get eyes on the gold, as the gold has been spotted by these Hellions. Spirit knows. And now the pressure is going to be on Spirit to try to punish that gold or try to keep Reynor in check. Behind this, there's a Hydra Den, so it's going to be Lingbane Hydra out of our Zerg player. And what's scary about this gold base is that it isn't just the gold, but it also has a rich Vespene gas geyser. So it's such a valuable base to take. And again, like, I don't know if Spirit can really punish it too much. He can work on his, obviously, when he does push out across the map in a couple of seconds, he can move towards that base, but I wonder what kind of angle he's going to approach, whether he pushes towards the north or towards the south. As we have hit that 7-minute mark, 1-1 is about to kick in, Stim and Combat Shield as well. This is a very strong timing here for Spirit. How many tanks does he have though? He should have around 3 tanks with his army, but we haven't seen it yet, and there we go. For now, he's working through those rocks. Hellions clearing up some creep as well. And as we edge on closer towards the center of the map, Spirit, he can actually even position himself on the high ground to try to punish the gold base as well. But again, 1-1 about to kick in. Reynor getting ready for it. He's run up to 78, essentially 80 workers with a gold base, like he has a boosted economy, and he's just making nothing but Lingbane. Now, there is a window here where Reynor has 0-0. Because of his opener, because of his prioritization of the lair, it means that 1-1 is delayed, so Spirit has an upgrade advantage. And we'll see if he can make use of it. As the tanks are slowly pushing forward, Hellbats have morphed in, but 1-1 is about to kick in 10 seconds. Reynor, though, he has to be careful. Doesn't want to push off a creep. Doesn't want to get caught out. Biding his time. Making more Lingbane. But the macro from Spirit is insane, Poppy. Oh my god. As he's rallying across the map and trying to get in position, but oh, he will barely save that tank. Almost caught out. But you can see that he's making his way towards that ledge to deny mining of the gold. That is his goal. At the same time, double drop towards the north. Tank does go down. Big pick off there from Reynor, losing very little for that tank. And as Spirit goes for a double drop, Reynor also sets up, well, I was going to say a run by, but looks like maybe even a surround. Well, as he does get caught up, but there we go. Reynor, he pulls the trigger. He is coming to the surround. The tank's a bit out of position. And the Marines, they do get caught out. With the Marines getting caught out, so are the tanks as well. Reynor cleaning up the army. We do have a double drop into the main base, but it looks like, did a medevac go down? No shot. Only one medevac makes it in. And damage is being done, but Spirit did lose quite a lot here, and he didn't get much done. He killed a couple of drones. He traded with the army, but he lost all of his tanks. And now Spirit has to retreat, and I'm a little bit concerned because this may force a longer game here. Upon losing that army, Spirit, he may be incentivized to just turtle up, to just stay back at home, make a wall of tanks, make a wall of turrets, Sim City, and just turtle on up instead. And we could be in for a long we could be here for a while, Poppy. As it does look like a drop went down earlier in the main base to those spores. Liberators coming in for some harass. Again, Spirit is being active with his drop play, and he is keeping up when it comes to his overall army supply, but he is just setting himself defensively back at home. Ghost Academy's on the way. 2-2 about to kick in. Meanwhile, Reynor, he's still on Lingbane Hydra. And these libs are doing quite a lot of economic damage. They're not killing a lot of workers, but they are denying a lot of mining time. Again, they're keeping Reynor busy. Reynor, he's been maxed out for quite some time with a Lingbane Hydra army. Like, you want to be trading, you want to be fighting with the army or going for mineral lines, going for economy. We don't want to be stuck on this. As it looks like the hive has not started. We do not have an infestation pit. I think that's a bit of an oversight from Reynor. Yeah, as the observer is pointing that out. But here we go, the main army is pushing across the map. Oh, into a wall of tanks. This is what I mentioned earlier. Because Spirit lost his army, he is set up very well defensively. Look at the tank line. It's going to be very difficult to break without a hive, without Vipers. And that's why we bring up the hive. Without it, we don't have any spellcasters. Instead, just pure Lingbane Hydra. Double drop is coming in. Gold base is being punished. Reynor out of position, and he's not turning around. Reynor's committing. Can he break this? The mineral line is being evacuated. Banelings, they do run back home. God, but look at the tank line as well. So many Banelings are going down. They take down a factory. But this was quite a costly trade here for Reynor. He loses 7 workers back at home, and he loses most of his Banelings. Takes out some of the infrastructure, but Spirit, he does hold 86 Banelings. My, oh my. Spirit, he saved all of his workers. He saved his base. Now, to be fair, the SimCity here is looking a little bit worse for wear, right? It's like the position here is weaker. So Reynor, he could try to go for a second wave. And I'm just a little bit shocked here by the fact that Reynor, I don't want to say he's all in, but he's just so committed here because he's refusing to take on up even further. Which means as time goes on, it's going to get better and better for Spirit. Here we go. Once again, we're rolling on in. Once again, Spirit evacuates that base. Well, these tanks are that much more exposed. 1, 2 tanks are going to be going down. The concave. Looking bad here from Spirit, but there's just still so much Lingbane. It rolls on in, and it looks like Reynor, can he barely break through? Show us the south, Papi. Show us the south. The tanks are exposed. The tanks are going down, and it looks like Reynor, he has barely done it. Spirit losing all of his army, and now Reynor can push towards that natural. It did take everything out of Reynor. It did take it all. He's backing up for a moment. He's waiting for reinforcements. Again, Reynor is committed. Spirit is supply blocked. He can't make anything. We're just waiting for another wave of Banelings. Again, I'm sure that a big reason for this playstyle from Reynor is the gold base. Because of that boosted economy, he's just looking to roll over Spirit with a Lair Tech army. And it's working. It is working. The Banelings roll in. They take down the planetary. The Liberators have arrived. 3 3s on the way for Spirit. He needs time. Time that he's not being granted. There it is. GG gets called. Ling Rambai slips into the main base and the natural. And Reynor takes game number 1. GG. Get a very aggressive playstyle out of Reynor. Very risky as well, I'll be honest. If that second fight had gone any poorly, if Spirit had saved those 2 tanks somehow and had a slightly better defense, Spirit would have been in a better position. You know, he had 3-3 on the way. He was expanding and taking a southern base as well. Like, that was actually on a knife's edge when it came to the window that was closing. Like, again, Reynor, he refused to throw down an infestation pit, refused to start a hive, refused to, like, refine his army any further, just staying on nothing but Lingbane Hydra, and he broke through. Did break through in the end. Of course, another big reason for this as well was the first fight. Remember where Spirit, he was caught out of position. It all happened very quickly, but essentially, when Spirit was pushing towards that gold base, he had all of his tanks set up towards the south, and his Hellbats as well, and his Marines were towards the north. And we saw that because his army was a little bit disjointed, Reynor, he was able to fight each army one at a time. He collapsed on the Marines first, he forced a pickup, and then he could clean up the tanks without much to protect them. So because that first fight went so poorly, like, that gave Reynor so much map control and the freedom to max out on Lingbane Hydra and to eventually snowball out of control. GG, well played. And with that, Spirit, it's his map choice. It is going to be his map pick, and his map pick is Alkione. Oh boy, can he fight back? I would say he can. I would definitely say he can, and a map like this is more favorable towards macro games and late games. There are a lot of defensive positions, there's a lot of high ground to make use of. You can expand towards the right hand side and expand towards the other portion of the map that's cut off with those mineral patches, and you can force a bit of a longer game. But here we go, spawning in the bottom left, we have Spirit for PSISTORM Gaming, and in the top right for Team Basilisk, we have Reynor. And I am interested, I'm intrigued, because we have seen quite a number of Zerg players try to race into the goal base on this map. In some other matchups, to be fair, we've seen it against Protoss, we've seen it against Zerg, but there are goal bases on this map as well. These goal bases are a little bit less accessible. They're actually in the center of the map, and you do have to mine through the mineral patches, and they're a lot more vulnerable as well. So I wonder if Reynor is gonna eventually try to make use of that. I wonder if Reynor expands in that direction to take that gold as a fourth, or even as a third. Sorry, a fourth or even as a fifth. As you will gain access to those gold bases if you do expand towards the right-hand side of the map, towards that kind of general area that can give you a boost later on. Very similar to what we just saw. Very similar to what we saw on Equilibrium. Meanwhile, the other kind of thing about this map, because half of the map is cut off with those minerals and with those rocks, it does mean that it does make that area a little bit more difficult to harass, especially if you yourself don't expand in that direction. It means that, for example, if Spirit were to take his fourth base over on the right hand side, Reynor would have to kind of like work through the rocks and kind of split off his army, and again, it just becomes that much more difficult to harass and punish that area and punish that location. The Xel'Naga is also a really critical part of this map. The Xel'Naga basically sees most attack paths, so it's very difficult to sneak out or go for any kind of push without your opponent spotting you. It's going to be on Spirit to make sure he maintains control of said Xel'Naga. And we are getting into this. So far, hatch gas pool. This time a Rax expand at a Spirit, not a CC first. Again, he went for a bit of a greedier opener in game 1. Here, less so. Much more standard opener instead. Here we go. What a match. Is this live? Oh, hello, Rob. Hello. The cast is live, but these matches were held over the weekend. They were held over the weekend. For those wondering, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we were busy casting the ESL Masters qualifiers. We had some long casting days. We had some 14-hour casting days back to back to back, and we were busy covering them. Unfortunately, ESL Masters qualifiers were at the same time as World Team League. They were happening at the same time, so we actually couldn't cover any of WTL over the weekend, which is usually what we do cast. So we're doing some catch-up streams here in the middle of the week to catch up with week 3 of WTL. So today we're going to be casting day 1, tomorrow will be day 2, and the day after will be day number 3. So again, if you also missed out on WTL over the weekend, then you can catch up with us. You can catch up with us. Just for transparency. As World Team League is usually taking place over the weekend. Meanwhile, we are getting into our game. Again, pretty standard opener here out of Reynor. Getting into link speed, working towards his third, saturating his bases, droning on up. Likewise, behind this is going to be 3cc Banshee out of Spirit. This time, I believe he is not investing into Cloak, so it's not as committed as the previous game. Oh wait, no, never mind. He is committing. He's working on Cloak. So 3cc Banshee, very similar build to what we saw on Equilibrium. I say similar because the only difference is the opener, the fact that Spirit went for a Rax expand this time instead of a CC first. And Reynor, oh my, is going for a much earlier Roach Warren. Around a 4-minute Roach Warren here from Reynor, so he himself will be going for a very different composition. I'm curious what this is going to lead to. I'm curious as to how aggressive he plans to be with this. I mentioned before that there are a lot of defensive features here on this map that you can take advantage of, and you can force a longer game and you can be more safe and secure, and I'm sure Reynor's aware of that, so he may be looking to have an answer to that here. As for now, he's taking his gases to facilitate for roach production, working towards his lair, eventually working towards his upgrades. So here we go. And the Hellions going to be rotating up towards the north. Oh, right. Oh, right. GSL is tonight as well. I think it just started. GSL is starting up. But now we do have, oh, let's go. I was about to say we do have Overlord speed on the way. Reynor, we brought up the roaches earlier, how they were so fast, and we're going for an all-in. Reynor, he does not want to get into a longer game. Spirit does, of course. He wants to slow this down if possible, but Reynor, he wants to send it all across the map at the same time. Banshees are dipping into the main base. And it looks like they will get a couple of workers here, but they don't manage to scout too much. They are zoned away. And here we go. Queens are being dropped across the map. Roaches on the way, Lings as well. Reynor going to be cutting workers here at 53. And Spirit still has, he has spotted the Dropper Lords. He knows. Bunkers on the way. He's setting up his forces. He's trying to prepare himself back at home. Does he have enough time though? Spirit, he is soon to be supply blocked. Depots are on the way. Does catch some of these Ravagers at least. But the Queens are dropped and up. Does get one Ravager in the end. He gets a second. Good pickoffs here from Spirit. Hellions, they do move out for a counterattack, but we may have needed them back at home. Hey, they catch some Lings at least. As Reynor is pushing on forward, spreading creep with those Queens. That's a lot of Queens. The Banshees are helping a lot here when it comes to sniping those Ravagers. But one Banshee goes down. Tanks are on the way. Spirit, he gets supply blocked. Losing those depots, losing the eBays. And one of them will go down. And Spirit, he's up against the wall. Trying desperately to break free from that supply block. Meanwhile, it looks like Reynor, he's backing off. He pulled back with his Lings. It looks like he's not content with the amount of momentum that he has. Looks like Spirit, he's going to be fending him off for now. And Reynor, he's droning. He's droning. He just now starts up 1-1. But I do think he needs more damage. And there we go. He goes for the third base. Meanwhile, Spirit, he ignores it. He's going for the kill. He's trying to wrap around the army. Won't quite get it. As Reynor does pull back. Going for some Ling drop into the main. Oh, the Biles! Oh, not quite connecting. And Spirit, he's trying to dive on top of those Ravagers. He wants to fight. The Queens, they're off of creep. They cannot transfuse. Every Queen is going to go down. Massive pick off here for Spirits. Was that 8 Queens? At the same time, though, Ling drop into the main. Denying a lot of mining time, getting 4 or 5 SCVs. 6 even. But Spirit is not turning around. He sends a couple of Hellions into the main base to clean this up. His main army pushing through the center. Again, Spirit, he does have momentum. He did clean up all those Queens. And now he's pushing onto creep and hopefully show us that we... Pushing onto creep. Once again, the Queens are getting caught out. Ling counterattack hitting the third base once again. Spirit losing far too many workers here. The drop isn't done either. Going into the natural. Likewise, Spirit doing his own counter damage, but struggling to deal any. As there are roaches to defend, and Spirit is forced to come back home. Oh my god, the Ling drops! They just don't stop! They do not stop, and Spirit is being pulled apart. He cannot keep up. The Roach Ravager has arrived once again. And Spirit, as he's dealing with the Roach Ravager, he's losing everything in the main. He just can't keep up here with the multi-prong of Reynor. Third base is under threat. Third base is not mining. 20 SCVs in total. And you can see Reynor snowballing out of control. He's joined up to 75. He can max out at this point. Spirit trying to go for drop play, but Reynor, he left units back at home to defend. We have roaches, we have queens, we have everything we need. Reynor even doubling down here on burrow and tunneling claws. And he's setting up for some bailing drops. Oh! One overlord will go down. Spirit, he's now able to keep up. But at this point, it's a numbers game. At this point, Reynor is about to max. He's rotating around. He wants those tanks. Bailing drop coming in towards the natural. Oh, but it was caught out. Good reactions out of Spirit. He's making the best out of a bad situation. He's now keeping up with the tempo of Reynor, but it may just be too little too late. as Burrow and Tunneling Claws are in production. Spirit going to be taking a bit of a risk. He's going for a triple drop across the map. And he does come across the Banelings. Uh-oh. Up! Oh, and he takes the Banelings to the face. A little bit unlucky there for Spirits. Trading 1 for 1. The tanks are exposed. 2 tanks go down. Spirit caught out of position. He will surround these Ravagers though. Both players taking some losses. Yeah, and Reynor, he's committed. He's just going all the way into the natural. Going to trade as best he can. Busting his way into the main base. Now this was quite a bit of supply here for Reynor. He's still committed to Lingbane Roach Ravager. Hive is on the way. Roaches, they tunnel into the main base. And you can see Reynor fall a bit in supply. It just goes to show how inflated Roaches are. But again, Reynor still has a lead. He's on 4 base saturation. He's working on a 5th. Working on the Hive. That'll give him access to Adrenal. Vipers as well if he needs to. Ultras. He's got melee upgrades. You know, it's possible. I could see them again. And Spirit is still just playing catch up. As Reynor's being so annoying with these Roaches. And there's that triple drop. We saw it leave earlier. You have a Liberator in towards the 4th base. Triple drop into the main. Spirit, he needs to do some counter damage. And hey, he's getting a mineral line. 15 drones go down in the blink of an eye. A good amount of damage is being done. Again, abusing the fact that Reynor has very limited anti-air. No Spire, no Hydroden, no Vipers. Only the Queens can shoot up. And we lost a lot of the Queens earlier. Oh, some Banelings, they do connect. But again, Spirit, he's making a game out of this. Micring his heart out. Stutter stepping, does take a Baneling to the face, but he can collapse on these Roaches. Will force them back. There's that Ultra Cavern on the way. I was joking earlier when I said Ultras. I don't know if that's the best the best tech path here for Reynor, but okay. Ultras, sure. Let's go. Liberator going ham, getting a Queen, getting a couple of drones. Now, I'm a little bit concerned here just because we don't have any Vipers. Typically when we're in this situation, as the Queen is saved, there it is. Vipers are now on the way, and this is how we deal with the drops. Power bombs. That's all that Reynor can really rely on, other than his Queens. So he will finally have some anti-air. But Spirit is back in this. Like, this drop play, it wasn't just doing economic damage, but it was also keeping Reynor pinned back at home. And now Spirit, he's on 3 bases. He's now getting a 4th. He is droned up. He's now on par when it comes to workers with the Zerg player, which is never a good thing for Zerg. And you can see here the graph, the economy swinging in favor of Spirit. He was having a hard time earlier, but mate, he is tenacious. Spirit is tenacious, and he is fighting his way back into this. We do have a big Ling run by. A couple of Lings are going to be borrowed as well. SCVs are going down. Spirit, he did such a great job catching back up in the economy, and Reynor, he knocks him back down. Oh, so many scans are forced. So Spirit, he has to lick his wounds, rebuild his economy. Reynor working towards those Ultras. Now, the other reason why I'm worried about the Ultras is because we already have Liberators. Like, Liberator production is well underway. Sensor towers being thrown down, and Spirit, he is walling off. He is kind of turtling. Oh my god, and here comes another drop here towards the left-hand side. Hatchery goes down. Reynor, now it's his turn to struggle. Now it's his turn to be pulled apart. It's not easy being the defender. It's not easy, Papi. Spirit was having a hard time earlier. Now Reynor, likewise, also having a hard time. And the Ultras have arrived. We still have to wait for Kindness Plating and for Ultra Speed. Reynor stuck with all these Roaches. He wants to get rid of them. He's going for quite a bit of a run by. Or a waddle by? A shark by? They're on the way. They're tunneling in. As we do have I almost said sensor towers. I mean, we do have sensor towers. We have missile turrets thrown down all around the map as well. looking to hunt down and catch any of those roaches, or lings even. And the game is settling down. Spirit, he's recovered. He has recovered. He's taking a gold. Likewise, so is Spirit at the same time. Sorry, likewise, so is Reynor at the same time. And again, really impressive here from Spirit. Refusing to die. Things were looking dire. Things were looking dire earlier, but alas, he has recovered. And Reynor, he needs to get rid of these roaches. They are dead supply, essentially, or they're hurting him more than they're helping him. Does take down a tank, camping the production. Not bad. At the same time, the ultras, they push in here on the front lines. They're pushing into tanks, but there's not much to protect said tanks. 2 tanks are going down, and this gold base is not going to get up and running. Spirit once again being pulled apart. He tries to go for a double drop across the map, but there's an ultra to defend. And we don't have any ghosts. The Baileys, they roll on in, and it's just too much all at once. 33, 37 SCVs go down, and Reynor takes the series 2-0. GG. Oh my god. I was getting ready to settle in. I was like, okay, so Spirit, he's going to be able to stabilize. He's going to be able to wall off and get up to 5 bases, and then we're going to get into a longer game. But Spirit was completely caught off guard. He, again, didn't really have an answer to those ultras either. There it goes. The Liberators that I mentioned earlier, they were being used to harass, and they weren't being set up back defensively back at home, and GG. GG, well played. Just like that, Team Basilisk will take the series. A shout out to Spirit though, because again, even though he had a really rough start, let's be real here, right? Like Spirit, he was losing so many SCVs, and he was not really accomplishing much with his push either. He fought back and he clawed his way back in, and sure, he may not have won the game, but did well for himself, making Reynor really work for it, and even causing quite a bit of chaos as well in the bases of Reynor. So GG, well played. Things escalated very quickly out of control towards the end. Very quickly out of control, but regardless, well played by both teams and both players. Oh my god. As we are going to be wrapping up here tonight, and just in time for GSL as well, as GSL is around the corner. GG, and yeah, with that, I hope everyone enjoyed themselves. Hope everyone had a great time. As a reminder, as I mentioned before, these games were played out over the weekend. They were played out over the course of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we weren't able to cover them. We weren't able to cast them live because we were casting other tournaments. We were casting ESL Masters Winter, the qualifiers. We were casting the qualifiers for Asia, for Europe, and for Americas back to back to back. And we had to make a choice. We had to make a choice if we wanted to cast WTL or the ESL qualifiers. And we went for the qualifiers. No regrets, of course. You know, we wanted to support the up-and-coming players in all these regions, and now we're catching up. We are catching up with WTL, and if you want some more WTL action, tomorrow. We're going to be live tomorrow with day number 2 of round 3. And once we catch up this weekend, we'll be casting it live. We'll be casting round 4 live on this channel as well, over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we are just catching up, and yeah, GG, well played. Shout out to Serral, Trigger, Reynor, as well as Gerald, MaxPax, and Spirit, making a series out of it. Again, Team Basilisk, they came in as the stronger team. I was hoping that maybe Spirit could make a series out of it against Reynor. Reynor barely did come out on top. No cams, unfortunately. Wonder why. But GG, well played, and yeah, with that, we are going to be wrapping up. We are going to be wrapping up here. If you want to follow us, if you are interested, if you're curious, exclamation mark socials in the chat. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Discord, all things CranKy Ducklings, if you are interested. Otherwise, you can support us on Patreon. You can see just underneath the plushies down there, we have our goal on Patreon to fund our events. We do host regional events every other weekend. We hold regional events for the Land of the Americas, for Oceania, and the rest of Asia as well, and Latin America, of course, and Latin America. So if you're interested, we got you covered. Otherwise, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. We'll see you guys tomorrow for day number 2 of WTL, and we'll also see you guys tomorrow for Kung Fu Cup. Kung Fu Cup is also going to be tomorrow evening, so plenty of StarCraft ahead of us. A bit of a PSA, GSL is currently ongoing. I think they started like an hour ago. No, not even. They started 30. They barely started. They're in their first series. So if you want to check out GSL, if you want to support the Global StarCraft League, then make sure you check them out over on Africa or on YouTube. Let me just link you guys. They're still in their first series, so plenty of StarCraft to come. Link is in the chat for the YouTube stream if you are interested. Otherwise, we will be casting this group ourselves next week. Next week we'll be casting it via replays, so up to you, up to you. Otherwise, thanks for watching, thanks for the support. We'll see you guys tomorrow with some more WTL. Until then, hasta luego.